Welcome back! All right, I'm here with Anastasia, farmer extraordinaire, and especially sheep farmer. So we got our first flock of sheep about 10 years ago, and Glova actually was one of the first sheep that we ever had, right? Or
Yeah,
she just...
she's the starter flock, half of.
yeah. So we thought that after 10 years, it would be a really good time to share with you our top 10 most important tips. And because Anastasia has been in charge of this, she's going to take over and explain all of those. But stay tuned for the most important tip at the end. It's about why you always need to count your sheep. And it's not what you think. So stay tuned, and we'll share that story as well. If you're interested in sheep, or if you're just watching this video to catch up with our farm, stay tuned. We've got lots of exciting tips and tricks coming up. And then we'll also have to share a really important announcement about our next video at the end as well.
Yes.
Tip number 1, why do you want to raise sheep? Sheep are amazing. You can raise them for milk, for meat, for wool. They're just amazing. We initially got our lambs as lawnmowers, and they grew on us very quickly. Most of our customers wanted weaned lambs around springtime, so that determined when we were lambing. So we just first started lambing January, February, so that people would have their lambs ready to go on their own pastures by about Easter. Yes, and if you are going to be raising them for meat, the first thing you want to do is find your abattoir. Find someone who can process them and butcher it and do all that work. Without that, you're going to be raising lambs over winter and have a hard time moving them. So we were so lucky in Cherry Creek. We had an amazing abattoir just down the road. And when we first started, we could call them and book our lambs in pretty easily when we decided how many we had. Near the end of our time, they were so busy that sometimes we would have to estimate how many lambs we were gonna have and then book in that many before the lambs were even born. So yeah, definitely not enough abattoirs in this province. Tip number 2, keep records of everything. Births, deaths, sheep coming in, sheep going out, any limp, lump, anything that's odd, every pasture move. I keep every detail because so much happens that time just doesn't exist sometimes. So you have to be able to look back and see, whoa, that's been going on for like 3 weeks. I should really deal with that more seriously. Or, oh good, that only lasted 4 days. Excellent, she's over it. So yeah, you definitely want to be able to keep records, especially if you're keeping sheep over a long time. It's really handy, again, if you're lambing, it's really handy to look back at certain ewes. If any ewes had issues while lambing, then you can kind of be more prepared the next year. Like, oh, she had an issue last year. Let's see if this is a continuing thing or if it was just a one-off. Tip number 3, trust your gut. So you know your flock better than anybody else. Sheep are prey animals, so they tend to hide any illness or any injury as well as they could for as long as they can, just because they're prey animals. If they give off the sign that they're injured or sick, then predators can pick them off easily. So trust your gut. If you feel like something's off with one of your girls, go with it. Keep an eye on them, monitor them more closely. More times out of not, you're right. I have an example during lambing. This gets me every year. I have to relearn the lesson every year. But sometimes I'll be looking at girls, checking their udders, and something looks like, oh, she looks close. She's not acting close, but she looks close. I feel like she's next. So I'll drag them into their lambing pen. They're not always willing to go, but they tend to go with grain. Drag them in and lock them up. And at first they're okay, eat their grain. And then they realize, oh my gosh, I'm in this pen by myself. And they try to get out, they're freaking out. And you're like, oh wait, shoot, maybe I was wrong. Maybe she isn't close. Maybe I was way off. And then you're like, no, trust my gut. I'm walking away. Walk away, and then we have a camera in the lambing barn. So we'll watch on the camera, and usually, like every single time this year, within 20 or 30 minutes, lamb's on the ground. So yes, trust your gut. You know your girls, don't let them fool you. Tip number 4, keeping your flock healthy. So we choose to do a proactive approach versus reactive. So we avoid using dewormers or anything like that unless we absolutely have to. And in the past 10 years, we haven't had to use any dewormers. Our girls are pretty hardy. We also do selective breeding. So we'll hold on to ewes that keep their condition really well after lambing, or that have a good condition throughout the growing season. So they produce healthy lambs and we have a better, healthier flock in the future. Tip number 5, rotational grazing and electric fence training. They kind of go hand in hand. So rotational grazing, we try and move our crew every 5 to 7 days. Even if the grass is still good on the pasture they're on, I still move them. So that really helps with parasite management. And it also helps with predators because predators tend to watch their prey for a bit before attacking. So if your sheep are constantly moving, then the predators have to constantly reset themselves. And really, I think they get bored after like a week and they kind of get whiny. So I find that everybody gets really excited when they go to a new space every 5 to 7 days. So it really helps keep them happy. When we first started with sheep, we had no money and no fences. So we decided to go with electric fences. I think this was just the best move that we made in our farming career. It just made us really flexible. We used it with all our animals. When we were in Cherry Creek, we were actually rotationally grazing over 100 acres because we had neighbors that we were able to move the sheep to because they were all trained with electric fence. So this really kept everyone happy and healthy. Not every sheep comes electric fence trained though. So that is one of the important things when you get lambs on the ground is start training them early. Because the earlier you train your lambs to electric fence, the easier your life will be. Tip number 6. So if you choose to lamb, be prepared. Usually about a month before lambing starts, I'll get my lambing kit together. So this is just a bin of everything you might need, like propylene glycol, gloves, lube, a bunch of stuff. And this you want to plan early. If you're lambing in the spring, anywhere from say January to May, that's when most people are lambing. So supplies may be limited in your stores. So just make sure that you have everything in advance so that if you have to order something, you have that time. And most of the time someone's going to lamb early. So plan early. So you also want to plan for the unexpected. So if a ewe dies and leaves lambs behind, how are you going to manage that? How are you going to manage the body? And you also want to think about if a mom rejects a lamb, how are you going to manage that? Are you willing to bottle feed this lamb? Or if a mom has too many? So just think about all these scenarios and be prepared for all of them. Tip number 7, train your sheep. So sheep are very trainable. We started with just a little bit of grain and a metal bucket, and we would hit the bucket with a metal handle and yell the keyword sheepies, and then and they learn very, very fast. So this is really important, especially if you do lots of the shepherding on your own, if you're out there managing them on your own without dogs or anything else, to have a way of controlling them easily. This is really handy also with moving the sheep anywhere. So often, like in Cherry Creek, we grazed the sheep on a bunch of neighbors' pastures. So we would have to move them fair distances. When we moved from Cherry Creek to Blahadatne here, we lived off grid. The woman, excellent woman, who hauled our animals from Cherry Creek to Castlegar, she had to end at the pavement. So we had to get the sheep and the cows and dogs from the end of the pavement 4 kilometers to where our farm was set up. So they were trained well enough at that point. I didn't even use a bucket or grain or anything. We just talked and walked and everything like that, and they just follow behind us. So it just makes life a lot less stressful. Tip number 8, dogs. So these guys are why we can successfully have sheep, especially if you decide to rotationally graze. If it weren't for the dogs, having sheep on pasture, it just wouldn't work. There are too many things that want to eat them, especially lambs. So it's they're an incredibly valuable tool. I never feel bad paying for dog food because they earn it. And you don't want just any dog. You don't want any backyard mixes, nothing like this. You want you want specific livestock guardian dog breeds. People also keep dogs for moving sheep. Our flock isn't big enough for that. We just have our livestock guardian dogs. So ours are a mix of Akbash, Great Pyrenees, we have Kangol, so really, really good dogs. Training them is a little tricky. Most of it is instinct, but when they're young, it is very hard. So when we had puppies that we were using to replace some of our aging guys, we had to be hands off, and that's very hard because puppies are very adorable and they just beg to be pet. But the key with the livestock guardian dogs is you need them to bond with the flock. They have to realize that the flock is their family not people, not humans, because they live 24/7 outside with their family, the sheep. Number 9, get sheep. When we started, we were kind of looking for lawnmowers and maybe for a meal or two. So, we lived in Kamloops in the Cherry Creek area. So it was a semi-arid desert, really harsh climates. They have cold winters, poor forage. So we did our research and we found that the Katahdin, Dorper, St. Croix, those breeds do really well in those harsh climates. That's why we chose those guys. Also, another reason is we weren't really into the wool. I didn't want to have to deal with finding a shear for 2 or 3 sheep. It was just another stress I didn't want to deal with at the time. So that's why we chose our hair sheep, because they shed on their own and you don't have to get anyone in to deal with them. That was kind of a fail because we did end up getting 2 milk sheep that you do have to shear. This is Blammy. This is Blindy's lamb. We call her Blammy. Her mom was a milk sheep, and so she had to be sheared. But that was just kind of a fun thing we did on the side. Our main thing were the hair sheep. But don't feel overwhelmed with all the choices and things to think about. Really, just get your sheep and go from there. Just learn every day, and you'll figure it out. And that brings us to our final tip number 10, count your sheep. I guess this is more count your sheep, be observant. So there's a few times of the year where this is really important. Like after lambing, like right now when they are on pasture, I count my sheep at least once a day. I mean, especially the lambs. I count lambs once a day, sometimes twice a day. You want to, lambs are born trying to die. They find very interesting ways of killing themselves. So it's really important that when you come in the morning, you just kind of take the time, you observe everything, make sure everyone looks calm. Sometimes there'll be a ewe off in the corner baying, making a lot of noise. You're like, something's up. So you go check it out. Maybe a lamb is stuck in a bush or under a log or in a feeder. I mean, there's so many ways that lambs get stuck. Being observant is also very important before lambing. So that's, I think, like 90% of the reason why lambing's so exhausting is because you have to be on and alert, just like extra super alert, all your senses all the time. You have to be on because you're looking for anything with anybody that looks off. I'll always go out first thing in the morning and walk the sheep, make sure everyone looks, is either laying there chewing their cud or looks okay. Anyone who's looking a little off, that I feel is off, then, she's on extra watch and I have to see if she ends up lambing. I also like to feed them a little bit of grain at the end of the day so that everyone comes in an area, and then I could kind of count everyone and check udders. I do a lot of udder and vulva checks at the end of the day to see if anyone's close to lambing, because nighttime, it's easier to have anyone who's close to lambing in a jug or a lambing area during the night so that you don't have any issues overnight. So yeah, I guess one time, or a couple of times actually, I call them all in and I do my sheep count when everyone's lined up eating grain. And I was like, I don't know if I'm tired or I just have to count this again. So I counted it 3 times. Like, I'm missing a sheep. And right away I knew who it was. I knew who she was. So I took a walk out in pasture, and there she was in the hawthorns at the very end of the pasture. She wasn't lambing, she didn't look close, but she was, again, acting off. She didn't come in for grain. Any sheep who doesn't come in for the end of the day grain, there's something going on. So she was very reluctant to go in a jug. That was one of the ones that, you have to get in a jug even though that they don't think they're close to lambing, but they are. So we had to force her into a lambing jug, and within 20 minutes being in that jug, she dropped this huge, beautiful, healthy lamb, and everything was okay. But it's very important to count your sheep. Yep, look at that, keeping them safe. They're just incredible. I didn't hear anything going on. All right, well, thanks for tuning in to all the lamb tips. And don't hesitate to reach out if you have any more questions. And stay tuned because our next video is going to be about this big, beautiful girl.
زنجیل پاره کنم آیم به سویت سنم زنجیل پاره کنم قوت بازو سنم میونه خوشگلا چشم است و ابرو سنم نارکینا فلفل سنم بهار بلبل سنم شونی ولایت میجا تنگایی کمی دل سنم نارکینا فلفل سنم بهار بلبل سنم شونی ولایت میجا تنگایی کمی دل سنم
Here we go.
الان دختر به قربونه وفایت سنم سر پل بودی و کردم صدایت سنم سر پل بودی و بوسه ندادی سنم خدای من نمی بخشد گناهت سنم باز میمو باهات سنم بلبل سر داد سنم ایجابی برار سنم نخر نناها سنم باز میمو باهات سنم بلبل سر داد سنم ایجابی برار سنم نخر نناها سنم سرت وا کن که سر بندت ببینم سنم گلو وا کن گلو بندت ببینم سنم تموم آرزوی من همین سنم لبونم بر لبه قندت ببینم سنم نارکینا فلفل سنم بهاری بلبل سنم شونی ولایت میجا تنگایی کمی دل سنم نارکینا فلفل سنم بهاری بلبل سنم شونی ولایت میجا تنگایی کمی دل سنم